Hi guys, welcome. This is Lisa from astrologysphere.com. In this video I'm going to be doing eclipse forecasts for the upcoming eclipse season, which begins on the 26th of December and extends to the 21st of June 2020. So what I'm going to do is look at the main energies surrounding eclipse season, and then I'm going to break these down sign by sign for each of the 12 zodiac signs. This is something new I've introduced to my website for members, so it's probably something I'm going to be sending out with my moon phase newsletters, which normally go out twice a month. So if you're interested in receiving these on a regular basis, then please do subscribe. All you have to do is go to astrologysphere.com/subscribe and sign up. It's absolutely free, and it would be fabulous to have you on this journey with me as we go into 2020. So without further ado, let's get into this forecast. So before we get into the individual forecasts, I'm just going to give an overall summary of the main energies that will be constellating in relation to the eclipse cycle between now and June 2020. I have, if you're interested, also done a more in-depth video which looks at the kind of macro cycles relating to the last decade and the energies that relate to these particular eclipses, as well as the Saturn-Pluto conjunction. So if you're interested in that, then you can have a look at my other video, which is called something like the December 26th solar eclipse big picture. So kick-starting eclipse season is the solar eclipse in Capricorn, which happens on the 26th of December 2019. So this begins a brand new 6-month cycle for the collective, which will last until the 21st of June 2020, when we have a new eclipse, a new solar eclipse that will take us into the next eclipse cycle. So this particular eclipse, like most solar eclipses, happens at new moon. So you could say that these type of events are really turbocharged new moons, where you are looking to plant the seeds and set your intentions for the upcoming 6 months. This particular eclipse happens, as I said, in the sign of Capricorn. Capricorn on the whole is the archetypal father or authority figure. So Capricorn concerns power, responsibility, it's the inner parent, it's parenting in general, it's taking responsibility for things, owning things. It's also about working towards achieving your ambitions. Capricorn is earth energy, so this is fantastic for manifesting of all kinds. It's really great for career and coin, basically. So whilst the last eclipse cycle concerned the private sphere, this is very much about the public sphere. It's about making your mark, it's about shining in the world, and it's about achieving what it is that you want to achieve when it comes to your New Year's resolutions. So where there is a solar eclipse, there tends to be a follow-up lunar eclipse, and this year things are no different. After the solar eclipse in Capricorn, we're followed with a lunar eclipse in Cancer on the 10th of January, so in the opposite sign. So lunar eclipses happen at full moon, and they are like turbocharged full moons. Full moons on the whole tend to be about culminations or endings, and in this case what we're doing is closing out the last eclipse cycle, which began on the 2nd of July 2019 with the solar eclipse in Cancer. So Cancer is a water sign. It's the archetypal mother. This is about family, it's about the past, it's about the unconscious, it's about habits, also diet to an extent, it's about self-care. And Cancer, being a water sign, tends to be concerned with emotional things. We have to bear in mind that this is also occurring at the full moon, and that the moon is at home in the sign of Cancer. So this could be quite an emotional time, a time of release, a time of letting go, a time of endings. So that's just something to bear in mind during the first half of January, and as we go into the waning moon cycle, there may be things that you need to close out from last year before you can move fully into the solar eclipse energy that will be getting underway on December the 26th. So as if it wasn't enough to have two eclipses beginning a brand new decade, we are also due to have a Saturn-Pluto conjunction in the sign of Capricorn on the 12th of January 2020. So this begins a brand new cycle as far as these two planets are concerned. They tend to come together every 35 or so years. It's a little bit, it varies a little bit because of Pluto's elliptical orbit. Essentially, these two planets have very similar resonances. That's because before Pluto was discovered in the 1930s, many of the attributes that it now carries were assigned to the planet Saturn. Saturn was considered to be the outermost planet in the classical pantheon of planets. So a lot of the symbolism between the two overlap. Saturn is the archetypal Grim Reaper. It's also the archetypal father, so you could say that this is Emperor energy. Then we have Pluto, which is also associated with power, usually hidden power, invisible power. Pluto in many respects is symbolized by the phoenix, so this is death and then rebirth, so we're talking more about cycles here. Together, the two of them coming together in the sign of Capricorn is really quite intense energy. It's quite serious. It's also earth-based, so it's very much to do with what happens on Earth, structures that underpin the fabric of our lives. So we're talking here about power structures, so political structures. We're talking about banking. We're talking about bureaucracy. So those things on a mundane level, we might see some changes happening there. Together, Saturn and Pluto are about cutting back, stripping back. So it's possible that at this time, you know, this energy could coincide with an economic recession. I do talk about the macro trends to do with Saturn and Pluto in my video on the big picture concerning the solar eclipse. So if you're interested in how the Saturn-Pluto conjunction fits into the trends that have been happening over the last decade or so, then have a watch of that video. Needless to say, this energy will, because it's happening in the same sign as the solar eclipse, there will be some sort of continuation when it comes to the December 26th solar eclipse. It's also fair to say that many of us will already have a sense of what this energy is all about, because Saturn and Pluto were going in and out of orb of each other during 2019. They came very close to each other in the first quarter of 2019, and then they went retrograde and parted ways, and then they started to come back together again in November, December of 2019. So you've probably already got a sense that this is quite heavy energy. It's about letting go of things. It's about the truth. It's about revealing what's hidden. It's also to do with rebuilding and restructuring. It's about karmic justice and karmic rebalancing. So essentially about divine timing too, and a sort of, I hate to use the word reckoning, but that's certainly a possibility when it comes to these two planets. There's not really a lot of a sense of mercy when it comes to either Saturn or Pluto. This is the hard taskmaster and the lord of the underworld. So these are not easy energies to have to deal with, but nonetheless, if you're prepared to kind of own your stuff, if you're prepared to do the work that they demand of you, then you can reap some fantastic rewards in the future. It's just worth bearing in mind that because these planets move so slowly, you're not likely to see immediate rewards for your actions. This is more long term. This is kind of building the foundations for the future. So that in a nutshell is a summary of the three main kind of energies that will be at play in the background between now and June of 2020. Just commenting overall, it's worth saying that in many respects this is about a balancing of masculine and feminine energies. So Capricorn in tarot terms, you could associate with not just the world and the devil, but also the emperor. And Cancer, although it is associated with the moon card and with the chariot, you could also associate it to an extent with the Empress energy, because it's the archetypal mother. The sun and moon have similar resonances. These are the cosmic yin and yang energies. So we're talking about the sun is masculine energy and the moon is, generally speaking, feminine energy. So you could say that between now, sort of over the next 6 months, that there's a balancing happening between masculine and feminine energies. Right, so let's get into the individual forecasts. The best way to leverage these is to listen to the forecast for your rising sign, your ascendant. This will ensure that the planets are in the correct position as far as life areas are concerned, so they're more likely to be accurate when it comes to predictions. Although you can also listen for your sun sign and then for your moon sign. If you'd like to order a personal forecast for the upcoming 6 months or 12 months, you can go to my website and order one from astrologysphere.com. So for Taurians, the next 6 months is really about adjusting your attitudes and beliefs when it comes to relationships and sharing of resources. Trust, I think, is going to be a major issue that you're going to be working on, as is the idea of sharing your time or revealing things about yourself to close people who are close to you. I think that you are going to be changing the way that you communicate with people, and part of this process is going to involve a shift in your subconscious beliefs. So if we break this down, the solar eclipse on the 26th of December really signals a new start for you in terms of your beliefs, your attitude to life, your big picture. So the way that you, your philosophy on life, how you view everything fitting together, your spiritual beliefs, your religious beliefs, your ethics, morals, that type of thing. So this is a time for you to really look at things from a fresh perspective and to maybe reconsider where certain beliefs need to be updated or changed if they're not really serving you going forward. And in that respect, if we look at the Cancer eclipse on the 10th of January, this is the opposite, the kind of polar opposite energy, so it shows what you're going to be releasing in tandem with what's coming in. And in this respect, you're looking at communication, the way that you put your ideas and perceptions across. It could also be your interactions with people on a local or immediate level, so we're talking here about neighbors, close relatives, people that you encounter on a day-to-day basis, as well as local travel and transport. So it could be that you decide, in tandem with the Capricorn eclipse, which is about foreign travel, really about long distance connections, that you decide to close out local travel. The two things are kind of interlinked, so it's possible that you may also decide to change the way that you travel, possibly update a car, or choose a new route to work, or perhaps work from home so that you can reach a wider audience, kind of across borders. So those are two things to consider. Then the other two major kind of overlaps are to do with Jupiter in Capricorn and Saturn, the Saturn-Pluto conjunction. So Jupiter is where we're going to be expanding, Saturn and Pluto is where we're going to be contracting, cutting away, or changing. So Jupiter in Capricorn features quite strongly into the solar eclipse on the 26th of December. So here we're going to be, you're given the opportunity to expand your horizons when it comes to joint projects. So here you could be going into business with a significant other, or you could be buying a house with a close, committed romantic partnership or a marriage partner. But certainly you're given the opportunity to really expand or to not heal, but change your outlook for the better when it comes to intimacy and sharing on a sort of intimate level. So we're talking here about sex, we're talking about close ties, we're talking about the ability to trust somebody else with your possessions or with shared possessions. So feeling confident enough to go into some kind of legal situation or situation where you're sharing money or bank accounts even. It could also have to do with tax matters, legal matters in that respect. But basically you'll have good favor, and you need to be optimistic about your prospects when it comes to these kind of matters. Then on the other hand, with the 12th of January Saturn-Pluto conjunction, you're cutting away the way that you relate to significant others. So we're talking about one-to-one relationships here, significant partnerships such as a marriage partner, a business partnership, and in this respect you are altering your subconscious beliefs. So this really ties into the idea of sharing and trust issues. So if you don't feel like you can trust a particular business partnership or a lover, then you either need to consider whether it's perhaps your own subconscious beliefs that are making you overly suspicious and perhaps a little bit protective of yourself, or whether in fact the person is untrustworthy, and then perhaps it's time to detach from that person. Generally speaking though, I think Saturn-Pluto, it's been moving really slowly, kind of in and out of orb since the beginning of January 2019. So you will have a fair idea of whether in fact this is you that has the issue or whether it's the other person. And I think events will transpire around the 12th of January as we get closer to the Saturn-Pluto conjunction that will probably just confirm this view. So then it will be a time to take action, to face facts, to get real, and then to do something, because Saturn-Pluto is all about doing the work, not shying away from what needs to be done in order for things to improve. So those are the major trends going forward for you, Taurus, in 2020. Hopefully this makes sense and you can see how they all tie together, but do come back and check in with me when I do my next lunar forecast, which will look more particularly at the lunar eclipse on the 10th of January, and see whether anything becomes clearer for you at that point. So guys, that's really it. I hope you've enjoyed these horoscopes, that they've been helpful to you and given you some pointers on the major trends that are going to be happening for you between now and June of 2020. If you haven't already, you may want to go to my website and find out more about eclipses. I do have a library of eclipses going back about 15 years, so if you're interested in looking at previous eclipses, then please sign up for my membership. It's free. It gives you access to my eclipse library. It gives you my it also means that you get my bi-monthly newsletters, which I send out to everyone on my mailing list, and it also means that you get exclusive and early access to any upcoming forecasts that I do that are not in the public domain. So with that, I wish you all the best for 2020. I hope the eclipses bring you everything that you hope for. Good luck with the Saturn-Pluto conjunction, and hope to see you again really soon.